Welcome to Life Stories, where we explore the journeys of individuals who face adversity, betrayal, and unexpected challenges, only to rise above it all. Today's story is about Emma, a tech entrepreneur who, despite facing the ultimate betrayal from her husband and trusted secretary, discovers the power of resilience and the value of building something real. Join us as we follow her journey from heartbreak to triumph, and learn the profound lessons life has to offer. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to start the story today. I never thought it would happen to me. At least, not in the way it did. Sitting there in my office, staring at the divorce papers in front of me, my hands trembled. I could feel the heat of anger rising in my chest. Yet there was also an overwhelming sense of disbelief. How had it come to this? How had I arrived at this point, where the man I had once loved now saw me as nothing more than a financial burden? Ryan's words in the statement hit me like a slap across the face. Wife has demonstrated consistent financial incompetence and inability to contribute meaningfully to our marriage. Those words stung more than I care to admit. I had spent 5 years with him, building a life together, working through our ups and downs, supporting him in every possible way. And now, in his eyes, I was nothing more than a failure. A woman who had let him down, who had failed to contribute, who had been financially useless. I looked around my office. The glass walls that separated me from the bustling city outside. I had worked so hard to get here, to build something meaningful. I had poured my heart into my tech startup in Palo Alto, a software company that specialized in AI-driven market analysis. I had put everything into it, and it was finally paying off. But here I was, staring at a divorce that felt like it was the end of everything. But that wasn't the worst part. As I sat there, overwhelmed by the weight of the divorce, my mind wandered to another troubling thought. Amanda, my secretary, the one person I had trusted implicitly, the person who had been by my side through it all. But lately, something had felt off. She had been acting strange, taking longer lunches, making mysterious phone calls, and showing an unusual interest in the company's acquisition talks. I watched her now, across the office, giggling at something on her phone. My gut twisted. I couldn't put my finger on it, but something about her had shifted. I could see it in the way she carried herself, in the way she held her designer handbag and new shoes. I had never seen her like this before. And then, as if to confirm my suspicions, it all clicked into place. She had been too eager to ask questions about our company's valuation, too interested in the confidential talks. I turned my attention back to my laptop as a notification popped up, a new email from the acquisition team. The deal was nearly finalized. $800 for my company. I had kept the negotiations quiet, not out of secrecy, but because I had learned early in my career that success speaks louder than announcements. Ryan had always dismissed my work, calling it playing with computers. He had never understood what I was building, never truly tried to see the potential. I glanced out the window again, this time focusing on Amanda. I could see her smirking as she walked past my office, her new diamond bracelet catching the sunlight. It was the same style as the one Ryan had given me for our first anniversary. I froze. The pieces were falling into place. The strange behavior, the designer items, the sudden interest in the company's future. It all made sense now. Emma, Daniel called. Amanda's voice interrupted my thoughts. He said he'll be sending someone to pick up his things this weekend. I nodded, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Thank you, Amanda. But as I spoke, I couldn't help but notice the subtle way she looked at me. The way she turned, almost too quickly, as if hiding something behind that smile. That was the moment I realized, she had been more than just a secretary. She had been playing a game all along. She was more than just a colleague. She had become an integral part of Ryan's life. Possibly even his partner in this betrayal. The thought twisted my stomach. How could I have been so blind? I closed my eyes, forcing myself to calm down. This wasn't just about my marriage falling apart. This was about something bigger. Something I had worked so hard to protect. I was closing the deal of a lifetime. And I had to keep my focus. I couldn't let my emotions cloud my judgment. As I opened the secure folder containing all of the company's documentation, I began making plans. First thing tomorrow, I would revoke Amanda's access to the systems. It was standard protocol when an employee gave notice. And I was certain it was only a matter of time before she did. I reached for my pen. Signing the final divorce papers. A strange sense of calm washing over me. Sometimes, the best response isn't a response at all. Sometimes, the best thing you can do is let people reveal who they truly are. And as I signed those papers, I realized I was no longer fighting to save my marriage. I was fighting to protect something much more important, the future I had built for myself. The next few days would be a whirlwind of finalizing the divorce and securing the acquisition. I had no idea what would happen next. But one thing was clear: Ryan and Amanda had made their choice. They had chosen the easy path. The path of deceit and quick money. And I had chosen something different. I had chosen to build something real. Something that could withstand the storm. As I prepared for the next chapter of my life, I couldn't help but feel a quiet sense of pride. I had been called financially useless. But in reality, I was building something that would change the world. And that, in the end, would be my true success. The days that followed were a blur of meetings, paperwork, and quiet determination. I had signed the divorce papers. But that was only the beginning. It was now time to finalize the sale of my company. A project that had consumed my every waking moment for the past few years. While I sat in meetings with the acquisition team, finalizing every detail, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The deal was nearly complete. And the company would be sold for $800, money that would allow me to secure my future. Even if Ryan had no faith in my abilities. As I sat across from my corporate attorney, Barbara, I could hardly suppress a smile. The timing of it all was almost poetic. I was signing away the remnants of my failed marriage with one hand while securing my company's future with the other. Miss Kennedy, Barbara asked, her voice calm but authoritative. You understand that by not contesting the divorce or disclosing the pending sale, Mr. Harrison will have no claim to your business assets? I nodded, remembering the night I first suspected something was wrong. It had been 6 months earlier when Ryan had started working late more often. And Amanda had begun asking strange questions about the company's financials. I'd noticed the way she had latched onto our acquisition talks with an intensity that bordered on obsession. I had hired a private investigator then. Not because of jealousy, but because I needed to protect my intellectual property. The investigator's findings were eye-opening. Pictures of Ryan and Amanda having private lunches together, discussing things I wasn't privy to. But it wasn't just about the betrayal of my marriage, it was the fact that they were playing a much bigger game. I understand perfectly, I replied, signing another document. Ryan made his choice. Believing I was. I paused, quoting his words with a hint of sarcasm. Financially useless. I see no reason to correct his assumption. As Barbara reviewed the next document, I allowed myself a moment of reflection. Ryan had always dismissed my work. To him, the tech industry had been nothing more than a passing trend, a hobby. He couldn't see the vision, couldn't understand the value of what I was building. I had tried to explain it to him, but he always brushed me off, never showing any genuine interest. Now, as the divorce papers were being signed and the acquisition deal was nearly done, I realized that I had spent too long trying to prove myself to someone who never truly saw me. I had been chasing his approval, but in the end, it was my own approval I needed. Later that day, I received another message from my VP of Engineering. Amanda just submitted her resignation effective immediately. She says she's pursuing an exciting new opportunity. I allowed myself a brief chuckle. The timing was impeccable. I had expected this. Amanda's departure was exactly as I had predicted. Her interest in the company's acquisition was no longer necessary now that she had what she wanted. She's found a better opportunity, I murmured, earning a curious look from Barbara. But it's not what she thinks it is. I didn't mention that I had already transferred all of Amanda's access to a monitored account that would track any attempts to access sensitive information. In tech, you learn quickly to prepare for exits before they happen. The following morning, the final divorce papers arrived. Ryan had wanted a clean break. And as far as I was concerned, that was exactly what he would get. No drama, no messy court battles. I had learned from the start that some people thrive on conflict. But the best response to them is simply to move on and let them face the consequences of their own actions. As I sat in my office, watching the acquisition deal slowly come to fruition, I couldn't help but feel a quiet satisfaction. The company I had built, against all odds, was finally reaching its full potential. It was more than just a business to me, it was my dream. My passion. And now it was becoming a reality. Ryan and Amanda might have believed that they were the ones who would walk away with everything. But they didn't understand the true value of what I had created. They didn't realize that success wasn't about taking shortcuts or playing games. It was about building something lasting. Something real. As I signed the final documents for both the divorce and the sale, I felt a sense of calm settle over me. The storm had passed. I had weathered the worst of it. And now it was time for me to move forward, to rebuild my life, and to focus on the future. The deal would close soon. And with it, I would begin a new chapter, one where I was no longer defined by the expectations of others. Where I was free to be my true self. And where I could finally start living the life I had always dreamed of. 2 days after the final divorce papers were signed and the acquisition deal closed, I found myself sitting in my office, feeling the weight of the past few weeks. It had been a whirlwind, and I had barely processed what had happened. But the world outside was moving on. My team, now more united than ever, was celebrating the company's future, the one I had worked tirelessly to secure. And while they celebrated, I couldn't shake the thought of Ryan and Amanda. Ryan had always believed in quick fixes, shortcuts, and easy money. He had never truly understood what I had been building. And in his mind, my success was just a stroke of luck. He had discarded me without a second thought, ready to embrace Amanda and their get-rich-quick schemes. But what they didn't realize was that the world had a way of revealing true intentions. And soon, they would face the consequences of their actions. It wasn't long before I heard the first rumors about their downfall. A message came through from my old college friend, who worked in financial services. "Emma, have you heard about Ryan? He's taken out a massive loan against his real estate holdings. Looks like he's liquidating everything to chase some exclusive investment opportunity." I raised an eyebrow, surprised but not entirely shocked. Of course, Ryan had fallen for another one of Amanda's schemes. She had always been the type to see a quick route to wealth. And he had followed her blindly, as he always did. I didn't respond to the message immediately. I was too focused on what was happening in my own world. The acquisition had closed, and I was now working with my team on expanding the company's reach, developing our AI-driven software further. Our technology had already helped improve market analysis for various industries, but now we had the chance to do so much more. Meanwhile, I continued to hear more about Ryan and Amanda. News reports came in, detailing how they had convinced investors to pour money into a fraudulent investment fund. The promise was simple: insider knowledge of proprietary trading algorithms that would guarantee high returns. The story sounded familiar. It was the same kind of empty promise Ryan had always made to me about striking it big with real estate. Only this time, it was coming from Amanda, who had cleverly tied her position at my company into the mix. When the FBI got involved, the details became clearer. Amanda and Ryan had set up shell companies across multiple states, using fake documents and fabricated trading results to lure investors. The losses were staggering, and as the authorities pieced together their plan, I began to see the full extent of their betrayal. But what struck me most wasn't the scale of the fraud. It was how easily people had been swayed by the promise of quick riches. I had spent years building something real, something sustainable, while they had spent their time chasing empty dreams. And then, just as quickly as it had started, their world began to unravel. Amanda had vanished, disappearing with millions in stolen investor funds. Ryan, however, was left to face the music. His desperation to find Amanda only underscored the gravity of the situation. I couldn't help but feel a sense of quiet satisfaction. I hadn't wished for this outcome. I hadn't wanted to see Ryan crash and burn. But the truth was, he had chosen his path. And now, he was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered life. As I sat in the office, going through the latest round of business updates, My phone buzzed with a new message from Barbara. The FBI has just updated us. They found Ryan trying to flee the country using a fake passport. It's over for him. The news hit me in waves. Part of me felt a pang of sympathy. After all, Ryan had once been a part of my life. But another part of me felt proud. Proud that I had never given up on my vision. Proud that I had kept moving forward. Even when the world seemed intent on knocking me down. I smiled softly as I turned my attention back to the work at hand. My company was thriving, expanding into new markets, and our AI technology was proving to be even more valuable than anticipated. We were helping healthcare providers predict patient outcomes, and our climate models were gaining recognition for their accuracy in predicting extreme weather patterns. Meanwhile, Ryan and Amanda were left in the dust. The true value of my work had become clear, not in the headlines or the quick deals, but in the lives we were impacting and the real change we were creating. The story of their downfall was almost secondary to my own journey. I had come so far, built something meaningful, and now I was finally living the life I had always dreamed of. Success, I realized, wasn't about revenge. It was about moving forward. About continuing to create something real, regardless of what anyone else thought or did. As I closed the door to my office that day, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of peace. The past was behind me, and the future was full of endless possibilities. I had learned the hardest lesson of all. True success doesn't come from chasing shortcuts or quick fixes. It comes from dedication, from building something real, and from the courage to stand up for what you believe in. As the months went by, the world around me continued to evolve, and so did my company. Once dismissed as a small project, had grown into something extraordinary. We had expanded into new markets. Our AI platform was making waves in healthcare and climate science. And most importantly, I had built something meaningful, something that would make a real difference in the world. The past, with its betrayal and heartbreak, was now a distant memory, overshadowed by the success I had achieved through hard work, integrity, and unwavering dedication. Ryan and Amanda were nothing more than a footnote in my story now. Their betrayal, their scheming, it no longer had any hold over me. Life had a way of revealing the truth, and the consequences of their actions were clear. But I didn't need to seek revenge. The greatest victory was in the life I had created for myself, in the team that stood by me, and in the opportunities we were now able to provide for others. As I sat in my office, looking out over the skyline of Palo Alto, I realized that success wasn't measured by wealth or status. It was measured by the lives we impacted, the challenges we overcame, and the legacy we left behind. My journey had taught me that the best revenge wasn't about getting even, it was about moving forward and letting the future speak for itself. So, I continued to build, to dream, and to innovate. I found peace in knowing that the work I was doing would outlast any petty betrayal. And with that, I closed my laptop, ready for the next chapter. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more life-changing tales. Stay tuned for the next video, where we explore the power of resilience and the lessons life has to offer.